I would like to welcome you here by listening to a podcast of Congress of Intelligent Movement, in which we would like to talk about intelligent movement and about how this movement influences our space, our body, and our emotions, and everything what has something to do with a holistic view to our entire human being. Today we have invited a very special guest, and I'm very happy to welcome here Mr. Jonas Dueholm from Denmark, who is the lecturer who teaches the method that is called Fascia Flow. Today I'm gonna ask him a few questions. For example, what it can bring to the people, what are the main functions of a fascia flow, and many other interesting things about this method. I will also ask him about his personal story, what brought him to this work, because everybody has a story that is behind the fact that he or she works with the method and becomes a master in it. Jonas works in Denmark. He also works in an association or in a center for the people who had concussion and injury of a head or a brain. He also teaches individually or in groups this wonderful and interesting method that is connecting the entire body on the base of so-called fascia. This method is kind of a fusion of a method that are well known in between of them, like body-mind centering or continuum movement, but definitely Jonas is going to tell us more information, and he is going to take us deeper and further into this method. So now I will start to speak English. The entire interview is going to be translated. For those of you who do not speak English, you will have subtitles or dubbing.
Thank you, Jonas, for waiting for the Czechoslovak introduction.
Thank you for having me.
I would like to welcome you here in our podcast of intelligent movement. And the reason why we decided to invite you was that Tereska Winklerova, who is also the organizer of a congress of the intelligent movement, was participating in one of your workshops in Dračí Blaho in Prague, and she brought a very nice experience with her. And definitely she said, yes, you go with our concept of lectures who nicely joins or connects the body and mind and soul and flow, and a connection between the structure and the natural improvisation of the natural intelligence of a movement or of a body. So therefore, I would like to ask you some questions about this method, about fascial flow is the name of a method. Could you bring this method a little bit closer to us? Like what it is based on, what are the origins, the principles, how it works?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So first of all, fascial flow is a way of moving, which is it's meditative, it's sensory, and it's very explorative. And its main focus is on the body's connective tissues, hence the name fascia, fascial flow, and also the nervous system. And as a part of the focus on connective tissues, we also have the fluid body, so to speak, as an important part of the way we think in movement. Mhm.
So that's great. So it means that, as you said, that the fascia is a connective tissue, and then you said the nervous system.
Mm.
Can you tell us about how the fascia practically works? How it influences the nervous system? Does it? Do they have a connection?
Yeah, it can, well, it can easily become quite advanced to try and explain this stuff. Usually in fascial flow, we also always have a principle of moving first, and then afterwards discussing our experiences in movement. And then after that, maybe I will share some, scientifically based knowledge also.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But the fascia, like I can talk a little bit about maybe how the fascia influences our movement, and what role the nervous system plays in the way we see movement.
Great. Mm-hmm.
So first of all, as I said, fascia has like a lot of the fascial network has a quite watery structure. Some of it is a bit more dense, but the fluids play an important part of the structure of fascia. So the way we move tries to kind of contact this what can you say, like fluid kind of network in the body, which has a certain elasticity to it.
Certain what? Sorry?
A certain elasticity.
Elasticity. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
And also the fascia network is connected through the whole body in functional lines.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well call it myofascial functional lines. So it's like muscles and fascia working together in different directions through the body. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this also informs the way we move. So the movements are always not too isolated, but they're thought of as bigger patterns. So if I move my arm, it might be coming from my back, or even from my lower back, or actually from my main point of support, which is right now my sitting bones as I'm sitting here, right?
Yes.
So there is the structure of fascia which inspires our movements, and there is the connected patterns through the body, the long connected lines, so to speak, functional lines. Mm-hmm. So that is the fascia part. And the nervous system part is about how the body reacts to lived experiences.
Yes, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we work a lot with the contact to surfaces, to the surrounding world in different ways. So we imagine, let's say, contact, I'll just move it back, the contact to the wall, for example, we imagine that in a certain way. If I have a contact here, I'll imagine it. Maybe it's the wall is maybe made of wet clay, or maybe it's made of something that feels really nice that my body wants to sink into, or something like that.
Wonderful.
And in that way, we're stimulating all the thousands of little nerve ends, I believe it's called.
Yeah. The receptors, yes.
Receptors, exactly, in the hand. And thereby giving the body a chance to regulate the tonus of the myofascial lines,
Okay.
functional lines.
Wow.
So we all live through experiences that will affect our body, and sometimes those experiences will affect the body in a defensive way. So the body can go like, or
like a shock trauma.
Whatever. Yes, exactly. Depending on what you experience. Sometimes defense states can stay in the body and become deep patterns. We want to contact those deep patterns and give the body a chance through kind of, talking gently to the nervous system. Giving the body a chance to
I love this experience. Yes. Talking gently.
Exactly. So
your nervous system.
We want the nervous system to release these things by itself.
Wow, so interesting. So what it gives me a wonderful idea of the exact method that joins really how the function of a body functions with also imagination. Like you join your imagination, and your imagination helps then body to regulate what may have happened in the body somehow, like a traumatizing experience or whatever, and it can practically heal it. Is it?
Yes.
Is this the way how you can approach this method also?
Yes. If we're talking about trauma states inside the body, they were caused by an encounter with the world, and they can be healed by a different, safe encounter with the world.
Yes, I understand. Wow, that's great. That's great. Okay.
So even sometimes we will imagine the wall being another person, like a safe encounter with another person, a nice, warm feeling. Maybe a person you know well and who you trust, and so on.
Wow, that's great. So also another question was like, how does this method influence the psychic state of a person? So now we are getting into, I'm getting my reply, by the way, that you can heal the trauma that frozen in the body, that is frozen in the body by practically like letting the other imagination into your fascia go around the entire body and heal it and unfreeze it. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this brings me to a question. Who are your main clients? Like whom this method is great for or good for? Who do you help with this method too?
It's very often people who experience some kind of pain, or they feel restrained in some way in their body, and they feel that it's probably not a strictly mechanical cause. That the cause of the pain may be connected to emotions, or so basically psychosomatic issues. That is what fascial flow is really great at, I believe.
That's great.
And then, of course, you can ask, aren't all issues of pain psychosomatic? And maybe, I don't know, but but I would say the more the problem is experienced as being psychosomatic, the better fascial flow will probably be.
Wow. Well, this is what brings me like also to the question, are there some people who cannot go to this method or go with this method? Is there like a limitation for somebody with certain kind of injury or a psychic state? Is it?
Well, I would say 99% of people will be able to do fascial flow.
Oh, wonderful.
Maybe if you, like I teach at the Danish Association for People with Concussion. And every once in a while, there is someone there at my classes who has a headache that is so severe that they cannot really be in the class. So, you know, sometimes I meet people who have some issues that makes them, not ready for fascial flow. But I'm not sure, like usually it has not so much to do with fascial flow, but more with what they're able to do. Are they able to actually attend a class in anything? Of course, there's also another, there's also another side of your question there, which is if you have trouble imagining your body, your sense of bodily contact is not so good, then you might not feel that it's doing much for you.
Okay. And isn't this the way how we can maybe promote the body sense? Like if somebody does not sense his or her body so much, maybe this exactly might help.
Yeah, very often it happens that people start attending a class of mine, and in the beginning they're like, I don't feel much. What is this good for? and later on they're like, oh, this was interesting. I didn't know I could feel like this, you know, in my lower back, or you know, my neck is different today, or whatever, you know. And then they maybe start to get a taste for it, right?
Wow. They suddenly start to sense their body. Oh, I have a body. Return back. Good.
It has a lot of benefits.
Good. You said you work with the people with concussion. Is it in the because I was searching on your website a little bit, and I've seen that you work as a teacher or as a lecturer in the Aftenskolan Paspahovedet.
Yes.
I can speak Danish now. Is it there where you work with them, or is it because I was like searching in there, and it's like for people who have that brain or head injury?
Yes, it's the Danish Association for People.
Okay. So it was personally very interesting for me because I have a very close friend who recently had a like quite severe head injury, and therefore I was thinking about like how this fascia flow can help her to like recover, because now she really feels this is if our audience permits us, this is a little like a example, but it may bring this work a little bit closer, because she fell back from quite high level. She fell back on her head here. She was unconscious for a while. She wouldn't remember a few hours, and still until today she had some problems with remembering the timeline. So the timeline went like, oh, I don't know whether it was yesterday or 3 years ago. But in the body there was this kind of problem that this part of a neck is now like if it goes to the C shape, yeah. So not this one, but the other one, other C, other part of a C. So it's so her head is getting down like that. So her body is now, because of that, some of the, maybe it is fascia, you maybe tell me, or some of the muscles are like contracted, and her position of her head goes down naturally, and it hurts, obviously. So the question is how this could help, how fascia flow helps in these like brain and head injuries. What kind of experience you have?
Like, first of all, what can help people when they have hit their head is a very, very complex question to answer. Because it seems to be so individual. And usually the pain and the symptoms that people experience seem to come from many, many different factors, often at least. What we do in the fascial flow classes is not, trying to get into the brain or something like that. But it is rather to try to reconnect with the body, and again, give the body a possibility to regulate the myofascial tone up through the body, and get that tone back into a more appropriate state. So often the people at that association for people with concussion, they have a lot of different symptoms, and some of the symptoms may not come from the brain or the head. That may not be the origin of the symptoms. It can also be massive hypertension in the body, for example, some places. And as a part of that pattern, also hypotension in other areas of the body. So some functional patterns of muscles and fascia are like all the time and can't let go, and others are like not doing their work. And we are working very gently with helping the body, getting those patterns more back into a more appropriate and balanced state. And often people experience that they, let's say, their body gets more room for healing, because the pain of the tension is maybe getting a little better, so that maybe they're starting to sleep a little better.
So you mean like a time-wise, so they create more space for their body to recover back on its own? Wow.
Yes, slowly we can, right? Because we cannot go into the brain and change anything there. Like, nobody really can. Not as far as I know, at least. But we can work on the general state of the body, and we can also help the nervous system calm down a little bit again, because very often if you hit your head, your body is in a state of alertness. This is what
the entire body gets into, something is happening.
Yes. So very, very many people with concussion experience a lot of the same symptoms as people with a stress breakdown or something like that.
How often would you recommend for these people to do fascia flow? Can they do it daily basis, or?
Definitely. I mean, I usually say that fascial flow can be done as often as you want to and as often as you like, as long as you check in with your body. You're not overloading
How do I
anything.
feel?
Yes, you're not overloading anything, and you're not getting into a mechanical practice where it's just like, I have to do this and this and this exercise every day.
Yeah.
Because this is not very much in the spirit of fascial flow.
Yeah. Fascial flow and does not go together.
Not really, no. We're working exploratively all the time. So we have to check in with, what do I sense right now? What's happening? What should I do today? And so on. But it's hard to, you know, do it too much or break anything. Like if you just feel along the way, how does this feel, and is this okay? And then, movements in themselves are usually quite subtle, and there is not much load or anything. So
Super. Would you permit me a kind of a personal question? Would you? Because I have this experience that always it brings us to, as lectors, we work with the method because we experienced that method in our problem, let's say. So if you want to, you don't have to, but can you tell us what brought you to explore on your own the fascia flow, and how did you get to this method and why?
Yes. So I've been interested in movement for many, many years, since I was a teenager. I'm a drummer also by profession, and like I've been working a lot with singing also, and done a lot of different movement styles. 10 years ago, I was hit overnight by a severe state of trauma in my entire body. Actually, I just woke up one morning, and then everything was different inside me. I could just feel that.
Wow.
Later, I learned that this was a dormant trauma from my early childhood. And that it's probably, I'm pretty sure it's caused by the fact that my mother got sick around the day I was born. And I lost her when I was 1.5 years old.
Wow.
And the things that happened back then around me, both in the relationship between my mother and me, but also other grown-ups around me, how they acted in this like really horrible situation, it has done something to my system.
Sure.
And 26 years later, this has in some way broken out.
Wow.
You know, like,
yes, of course. Wow.
It's unfolded, the trauma unfolded in some way.
Sure. The body holded it and held it.
Yes. So when that happened, obviously I had to first figure out what is happening here. And in that process, I tried again different movement styles, different manual therapies for maybe a year at a time or 2 years. And after some years, I found fascial flow. And this was really different. It was an approach that was so much about listening to the body and so much about sensing what is
inside. Yeah. Wow.
And that was when my body really started to heal.
Wow, that's great.
So, and these are this is the core of fascial flow, listening to the body, sensing, and just exploring that. And then there's a lot of different movements in it, extensive system of different movement types and ways to do this. But this is the essence of it. And we keep on turning back to it all the time. And this way of moving with like no stretching, no trying to change anything at any point, but
no
just
forcing,
sensing,
yes.
Exactly, just sensing, exploring in 1,000 ways.
Wow.
That was the right thing for my body and for the trauma.
Wow, that's incredibly wonderful. Thank you deeply for sharing your experience, your own truthful experience with us. This is very valuable for me, for us, because it really brings the truth out of your body and out of what you do. So it's really believable because you live it. Thank you. Thanks. Wow. I also, if you don't mind, I continue. I was doing the research of who you are, and I've seen you are a musician. So this is also very close to me because I'm a musician or singer too. So I'm interested in music, and that was so great to see. And how does this music and everything influence your work? Does it connect in somehow, like the way that you can sense the body, you can sense the music more, or maybe I'm like making it up now. Maybe it is differently. So correct me, tell me how you feel the music, because your website is called Body Music, no?
Yes.
So,
no, for sure. For me, movement is in some way music, and music is movement.
yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
So, as I said, I'm a drummer, and that is that was my first education. So I studied at the academy in Copenhagen, and I've toured with lots of different bands and explored drums. Different styles, different ways of playing with people, and so on. And drums is a very delicate instrument. Maybe not everyone knows that, I'm not sure, but it's actually very delicate. It's very much about the touch. It's very much about the texture of the sounds.
Wow.
And the timbre that you can create in the encounter with the drum hits, the way they resonate, the cymbals, the metal, how you can like create sound waves out of that, and of course all the sounds you're making, they're coming from your body in some way. So you need to figure out a way to have movement flow in the right quality from you and into the instrument. And just like singing, which I have also explored and enjoy very much, drums is very, very close to the body. So singing and drumming would basically be the most primal ways of creating sounds, right? Just using your body, or hitting something. And for those reasons, I feel and I experience it as very close to movement, especially explorative movement. And also when I teach, I mean, teaching is about tuning into other people, as I see it. This is the most important part, I believe. And this is the same thing in musical interplay. So the process of tuning and communicating, mostly without words, is an important part of why I love to teach fascial flow.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, we can say, because since the very beginning, you really talk with your body. When you talk with your body. So I now experience the tuning in tune into our conversation. So that's right, I see it. You said a very interesting thing about like how you create the sound. I probably never thought about it, that because I am a dancer mostly, I consume the sound. The sound that goes out, I invite it through my body, and then I create something through that instrument. But this is the other way around. You've got something in your body, you feel it, and you send it through your hands to the instrument. Wonderful. That is so great. Okay. I'm really looking forward meeting you and being in your workshop. So that brings me to another question. When are you planning to be in Czech Republic again? And what will the program be here? Like, if everything goes right with the situation here, with the traveling and possibility to meet and so on. But let's say we create it in a way that it will be possible and you will come. So when and what we can be looking forward?
I will do a workshop at the Intelligent Movement Festival.
Yes.
Which I know that you're involved in.
Yeah, I will translate your workshop. That will be great. Yeah.
And that will be in the end of April.
Yeah. It will be. We will put the dates in it. It will be at the very end of April. It will start on the 29th of April, the entire Congress, and it will finish on 1st of May. And I think your workshop is in Saturday.
Yes.
Good. So good. You also have some programs when you said you are going to do the webinar, but is it possible to connect with you also? This is what I wanted to ask on the individual basis, like if the people would want, yeah? Definitely. If they speak English, they can like have like contact with you, and then they can set for the individual lesson.
Definitely.
That's great.
Definitely. And my email would be info@bodymusic.dk.
We will also put it in there, yeah.
Yes. So for now, my website is only in Danish, but it's always possible to contact me via email. And I can teach individuals or groups online. And it usually works quite well through Zoom, actually.
Good.
I can also say that I expect to be doing more works in Czech Republic, even after the Intelligent Movement festivals. In Prague, probably during summer or later in 2022.
Good. I was also thinking, how do you feel about it? So to give us some examples, something for our bodies, so that it will, so that we can take it also to our bodies. To invite it and to have it, and maybe do it on a daily basis or in a moment when, nowadays situations sometimes bring some stress, some fear, anxiety, people that have now the problem, you just go through your mobile, you see the news, and then the entire body is contracted, like, what's gonna happen? So is there anything that you can give us to help us?
Definitely. I will show you something that you can do sitting on a chair as we're sitting right now. And I will just zoom out a little bit. So in fascial flow, we have movements sitting on a chair, we have movements on the floor, we have movements using chairs in other ways, we have movements using walls, we have movements using different tools, like some balls and other stuff. There's a lot of different stuff, movements for the face and breath kind of stuff. We use sounds sometimes. So it's really an extensive system, but this is just a very, very small look into it. And you start by, just a second. You start by sitting on the edge of the chair, like this. And then you feel your sitting bones. So those are the two bones that you can feel you're sitting on. Maybe you can just go like this a little bit from side to side to feel them, the sitting bones. Okay. And just keep your awareness at the sitting bones. And then you start to slowly roll backwards over the sitting bones. So if my hands here are the sitting bones, I'm rolling backwards like this, all the way down there. Okay. So awareness of the sitting bones, and you start rolling back over the sitting bones. Nicely. And then from the contact with the chair, all the way from down there, your spine will start to form the C shape. All by itself, just from rolling backwards. And in the end, you can choose whether you want to let your head relax. You can stay down a little bit and sense how gravity is affecting the body. And then move your awareness to the sitting bones again. And you roll forward. Start to just roll down there. And the rest of the movement is just happening by itself. And you could up and back to seated position. And just feel your body a little bit. Sense what is happening.
So thank you for the exercises. Is there anything you wanted to add more, or?
Well, just that I'm looking forward to teaching in Czech Republic again. And yeah, it's been really nice. It was really nice in Prague. And last time I was there, and I'm looking forward to coming in spring and hopefully more also.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be perfect. And I'm also looking forward to the meeting, because it always brings a lot of mutual inspiration. And apparently the way how you work and the way you bring the method, it's not about the method, it's always about you. And I felt, we spoke about this before our interview, and I wanted to like bring it to our audience a little bit closer, that what I feel from you is exactly the communication between two parts of our brain and our being, like the very nice structure, very clean way you work, you've got your methods. But what is important is how you work with those methods, how you put it into the flow. And I feel that the great flow from you, and the connections in various like levels of the human being as it is. So really, I would like to thank you for the interview, for bringing not only the method, but also yourself to us closer. And we meet personally in April. So is it something you would want to tell as a farewell sentence to our audience?
I'm just looking forward to meeting all of you who are watching this. Yes, and anyone can always you can always contact me also at my email.
Okay, thank you.
Feels like it never was the thing, the one that I've been